Okay. So I'm Holly Walsh. I work at the Rhode Island Department of Education, and I'm the computer science for Rhode Island lead. I'm joined with Karen Bryer, who is also on the computer science for Rhode Island team. And we're so happy that she's joined us, the project manager for coding as another language. And looks like we've got one more joining us, so we'll wait just a couple minutes to see if others will come in. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. I just want to
Good.
pop over and see what y'all are doing.
Yeah, so Vanessa is like one of our like rock stars in the state. And so we're going to go ahead and record the presentation so that they can have it for their needs. And we're just going to run through kind of some basics about the K5 area. So I was just introducing Katie. Do you know Karen? Have you met Karen yet?
I think we met
okay.
a while back.
Yeah,
Okay, so Karen has been on our team for quite some time, but now she's in the role, she's here at RIDE, and she's the project manager for the Coding as Another Language grant that we have in concert with Tufts University. So my plan was to go through a little bit of background. Let me share my screen with you guys. Is that coming up for you?
Oh, good.
Okay, very good. We'll go through just a little bit of background. And the two areas that we both wanted to touch on were both the data dashboard, which we're just on the cusp of launching. It looks like next week is going to be our week. And then we have the Cal grant, which is new and has just been kicked off this September. So we're right in the middle of kicking our heels up with that. And then just some time for others to share as well. So this is the progression that we've made in Rhode Island. We started out in 2016, 17, and the governor pushed us to make sure that we could have computer science offered in all schools. And so that's where our broad awareness campaign started, where we were connecting with all sorts of other national groups, including co.org and others, just to get us going, make sure we had the resources to get started. CSforAll and the script workshops kind of came into play in these very beginning years. In 17, 18, we pushed to increase that participation and broadened our focus to really address the equity and broadening participation issues. And that's been a central tenet for us since the beginning. We recognized right away that there was a disparity between what the students had access to in our inner city of Providence and the other outlying inner city schools and what they were getting in some of the more suburban schools. So we knew that equity was like a key tenet that was going to be there all along. 1920, we were ensuring quality, and that's when we started talking about data. And it's taken us really that long to get into a place where we had agreement about what to collect, and also to make sure that districts were giving the information from their student information systems. And there's still some confusion there, but we are like I said, ready to pull the trigger there finally this year. In 2020 and 21, it was expanding to meet the needs that we were seeing and hearing from districts based on their comprehensive K-12 plans that they put together through our facilitation with the script workshops. And this is when our high school grant came in, and our high school grant is looking, at how work-based learning can impact students' thoughts and considerations around computer science. So that is 1 year in. We're just entering our second year into that, and then this current school year, we are launching our K-5 Coding as Another Language grant, where we're continuing to expand and make sure that there's access at all of the different levels. So any questions about that before I jump on? I know you guys have that, but I didn't know if I missed anything. All right, here's a quick preview screenshot of what we're planning for our data dashboard. And I've blocked out because the information is not quite right yet. We're still working on getting it to present the way we want. But the idea is that we'll have two main areas where you can see a snapshot of the state and what's happening at the high school and middle school level, and then at the elementary and middle school level, depending on how the school is doing it, right? So in middle school, they could either be integrating it or they could be offering it as a standalone course, but we wanted it to be represented in both ways. We'll also be able to, up here in the upper right hand corner, we'll be able to, this is showing all districts, but you can drill down and go to the individual district. So what's represented on the map right now are all the different schools. And when you mouse over those schools, it's going to have a drop down of what it is that they're teaching and a little bit of statistics about the school. Same thing over here on the elementary side and about where it's being integrated. Is it being integrated into a science class, or is it being integrated into, you know, math class, or is it being integrated into library media studies and so on? So that's our quick visual dashboard. Down towards the bottom, each of these schools, you can look at it at the state level and broken into these various subsets, but you can also at the lower level, at the school level, break things down as well. And so doing this gave us some really neat insights, just as our CSforAll team, as we were saying, oh, it's really interesting to see kind of that distinction between the number of students that are actually accessing and participating in CS activities at the elementary level and how that actually decreases at the high school level, and the transition between boys and girls taking it at the elementary level is pretty close to 50-50. And then as it goes higher, the disparities are much more evident. We're definitely making progress there, but it clearly illustrates that there's work to be done. And then I'm going to turn it over to Karen to talk a little bit about the Cal grant, because we're so excited about this.
Hi. So yes, we've done a lot of work with code.org at the elementary space in Rhode Island, but this was an opportunity to work with Tufts DevTech Research Group through a U.S. Department of Ed grant. And the research grant is really designed to look at the impact of their coding as another language curriculum, which they developed around Scratch Junior for K-2, and looking at that impact on students. We'll be doing coding game assessments with students prior to the implementation of the curriculum and then again afterwards, as well as pulling some of their standardized assessment data. We also will be, or have identified, tech leaders at every district, and some districts actually identified a couple of tech leaders. Those tech leaders are participating in Tufts Early Childhood Technology Graduate Certificate Program. Scholarship to that program was part of the grant, with the idea of researching how can we build sustainability in districts, and with training these identified tech leaders to do for the second year of the grant. I'm not sure if I even mentioned, sorry, it is a 2-year grant. So year 1, we have cohort 1 schools doing the implementation, having received professional development from Tufts personnel. In year 2, our tech leaders, who will have participated in the Early Childhood Technology Graduate Certificate Program, will actually do the professional development for the cohort 2 schools. So it gives them a chance to actually utilize their experience and their learning from Tufts, and do the PD for our cohort 2 schools, and cohort 2 schools will implement the curriculum in that second year. So the research is really looking at the impact on students, but the impact on teachers as well, building that level of sustainability within a district. Can you have a train the trainer model to continue the coding professional development might be needed? Part of what schools also got as the grant is the touchscreen devices needed to implement the Cal Scratch Junior app. So they could either have chosen iPads or touchscreen Chromebooks, which are the tools necessary for Scratch Junior. And schools, cohort 1 schools are just receiving that equipment now. Our cohort 2 schools will receive their equipment next year when they start in on the implementation. And as I said, we have 13 schools in all, but we have 6 starting in cohort 1. So that's a total of 29 classrooms. I mentioned that it was a K-2 curriculum. So we have kindergarten, first and second grade classrooms, a total of 29 classrooms in cohort 1 across those 6 schools. And then for cohort 2, we have a total of 36 classrooms. So they'll be teaching it next academic year. I think that about covers it. A good mix across the state, as you can see, a few urban districts and just a nice mix across the state. We're kind of anxious to get the word out about this curriculum as well.
Great, thank you.